There's a hadith which repays very careful attention, where the Holy Prophet ﷺ makes a very large statement about the Ummah and the prospects of the Ummah, where he says ﷺ, أخوف ما أخاف على أمتي اتباع الهوى وطول الأمل أما اتباع الهوى فيصد عن الحق وأما طول الأمل فينسي الآخرة. Which means, the thing I fear most for my ummah is following whims, desires, and harbouring lengthy hopes. As for the following of desires, it prevents one from accessing the truth. As for lengthy hopes, they cause one to forget the next life. There's a lot going on in this hadith, which is one of his Jawami al-Kalim, one of his comprehensive statements. It's a whole book in itself, really. He's saying that the thing he fears most for his ummah, he's talking about the future after he tragically leaves this world, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The thing he is most worried about, concerned about, is the following of desires and harbouring lengthy hopes. Following of desires, hawa, whim, caprice, fancy. What we feel like doing is fairly obvious. Tulul amal, lengthy hopes, is a slightly more complex category, which basically means thinking and planning so far ahead that you just forget the fact that you're mortal and that your destination is a hole in the ground, and that you should prepare for that and prepare for the life that never comes to an end, rather than pretend that this life is eternal. These two things are connected. And then he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as for following caprice, following desire or preferences, it prevents us from the truth. Yasuddu anil haqq. So he's not talking about sort of morals here. This is not moralizing. He's talking about access to truth. And what could this mean? Well, every thinker knows that the choices that he or she makes, the preferences that they have for a theory, is not some kind of objective thing, but in fact relates to who they are, their complexity, whether they just had an argument with their wives, whether they're hungry. We are frail, infleshed beings. We're not, in the sense of the philosopher Descartes, detached, discarnate. We're part of the human composite. And we know from the Islamic perspective that the ruh, the spirit, is coterminous with, coextensive with the physical body. So he's saying that if you want to make true choices about life in general, about the meaning of life, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his messenger, the big choices, and also smaller choices about your own life, the best basis for that is not to follow caprice or your own whim. In other words, the beginning of wisdom, philosophy, knowledge, careful thought, responsible use of the God-given instrument of the mind, the first stage and the basis for it has to be self-discipline and control. What we call riyadatun nafs, exercising the ego. And so much of the Holy Quran is about this. And Ramadan is certainly about this. Ramadan is the month of sabr. The hadith in Tirmidhi says that fasting and sabr are closely related. As-siyam nisfu sabr. That fasting is half of sabr. And that through sabr, the fast becomes sweet and gives us its gifts. To the extent that we really don't have much sabr, we're going to be in a state of jaza, misery, panicking, angry, bad-tempered, losing the fast, not using it. And so, in this month of Ramadan, we, as it were, train the mind not to be that lazy thing that gives way to any desire or preference. Let me do this, let me taste that, let me talk to such and such a person, let me look at this thing, let me spend my money on that. All of the rubbish that the modern world encourages in us. Ittiba' al-hawa. The Christmas season is all about encouraging desires for gifts and food and drink, and Ramadan is kind of meant to be the opposite of that. It's a kind of anti-Christmas. It's the opposite of the festive season, but it's still festive, because the hadith speaks of the farha of the servant when he fasts. لِلصَّائِمِ فَرْحَتَانِ. The one who fasts has two joys, two festive times. فَرْحَةٌ عِنْدَ فُطُورِهِ وَفَرْحَةٌ عِنْدَ لِقَاءِ رَبِّهِ. One joy when he breaks his fast, and another joy when he meets his Lord. So a kind of doubly festive season. So there is a connection then between overcoming our impulses and our instincts, which is the basis for functioning as a human being. You need to be disciplined if you're going to succeed at work and marriage and all the other aspects of life. Those who just follow their own vices and weaknesses and laziness and preference they are the losers. Al-khasirun, even the word losers is in the Quran. But the Quran says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ فَصَلَّى. He who purifies himself has triumphed, has succeeded, has this falah, and mentions the name of his Lord and prays. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who struggle for our sake, not just any old struggle to put something nice in one's CV, struggle to impress somebody, struggle to build a swanky house. It's not the kind of struggle that is being advocated here. That's just struggle, suffering for the sake of carrying the weight of the ego. It's silliness, self-imposed suffering. But to struggle for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for His face, liwajhillah, brings about this success, and brings about necessarily the recollection of Allah. And therefore, what we find with this refusal of ittiba' al-hawa that Ramadan really facilitates for us, not following one's preference, one's whim, one's caprice, one's instinct, one's appetites, one's lower impulses, is not only better access to the truth, but also success, and success in both worlds. If you're a disciplined person, you'll be successful, more successful in everything that you do. If you're a slob and an undisciplined person and you are a couch potato, you're not really going to make much of yourself, and the irreplaceable years of your life will just slip by, and the end of your life will be sorrow. كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. Life goes by quickly. The Quran is saying, on that day, they will say, when they see it, it's as if we spent in this world just an evening or a morning. It goes by just like that. What a waste, because it's not going to come back. Every moment is part of your Ra's al-Mal, your capital, which diminishes. It's not as if by doing things in this world you get extra time. If you live a healthy life and you avoid the vices, you may well expect to have a longer life. And we are told that something for which we should pray is طول العمر في طاعة الله, a long life in the obedience of God. It's a good thing to have more years so that one can do more positive, good things. And this is evident. So Ramadan is a time of opportunities which we either use or lose. Opportunities which are really about every other aspect of our worldly and otherworldly life, and are also about truth itself. And we know that we are weak. We know that we succumb. We are liable to temptation. Man is created weak. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Man is created weak. And we know that even the great Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam said, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. I do not justify or declare myself to be innocent. The nafs, the lower self, is constantly urging wickedness. And that's part of his humility, and that's part of his greatness. No self-righteousness, but humility. That's a sign of somebody who really is in control of his ego, a real human being. So in this month, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the strength and the fortitude, not just to get through Ramadan until normal life resumes, but to treat this as a unique detox experience, an opportunity to remember what we are here for, to remember the eternity that surely awaits us, and to remember the fact that truth is what really matters in this world, and truth is only accessed by the people who are in a state of self-discipline and pursue the truth and think right, and inshallah are guided to the straight path. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of the straight path and make this a blessed Ramadan, inshallah, for us, for our families, and for all the Muslims. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.